Hello everyone, this is Pico Entertainment and we are back again, and here now we have another video for you in our ever-going movie review series where I cover 10 out of 10 movies, and this edition we will cover Oliver Stone's masterpiece JFK. Released in December the 20th, 1991, it has a truly heavyweight cast starring Kevin Costner, Tommy Lee Jones, Kevin Bacon, Jack Lemmon, Joe Pesci, Michael Rooker, Gary Oldman, Sissy Spacek, and it was directed by Oliver Stone. Now the setup of course within JFK is that the story covers and centres around the assassination of American President John F. Kennedy in 1963, still one of the most culturally controversial incidents of the 20th century. And this movie is very much based on the documented accounts from Jim Garrison's book On the Trail of Assassins. The film begins with a very intricate sequence showing the immediate assassination incident and the various fallout being viewed by various publics in various bars and televisions, and after that it follows the story of New Orleans District Attorney Jim Garrison, of course a real person, and his ongoing crusade to uncover the truth behind the assassination. Garrison's case goes on to become the ultimate challenge as he encounters a huge multitude of witness statements, suspicious reports, shadowy figures and potential conspiracies. The more he delves into the case, the more Garrison believes in the potential coup d'etat where the government itself may have orchestrated the assassination of its president. Now for me, JFK is one of the most engrossing and compelling 3 hours of cinema that I've ever watched. We talk so much and debate about modern movies today being overlong and bloated with excessive run times, being more mundane and boring despite being full of action and CGI sequences. Now what makes JFK so special is that it remains thrilling, tense and suspenseful despite its subject matter and its runtime. It's able to commit your attention fully without a single action sequence, and that what makes it so special overall. It's very similar to another great film, All the President's Men, starring Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman, focusing a lot more on the narrative and the plot and the storyline rather than effects and action sequences and spectacle. Now covering the JFK assassination will always command attention. It remains for so many people one of the most fascinating and unresolved mysteries within the 20th century, particularly if you were born in America. But the real skill of director Oliver Stone is translating that material into a cinematic format. The overall feel of the movie is one very much of a documentary, but it's fused into much more of a political thriller and a mystery. The way the movie is crafted and constructed with an immense sense of confidence and intensity, you're instantly pulled into the story. It plays very much like a labyrinth detective story of which you want to stay right throughout to the end. Now for me there are 3 primary reasons that what makes JFK such a great movie. Now the most important is the film's editing, which is simply has to be one of the best edited movie I've ever seen. Oliver Stone unleashes a true attack on the senses. We get a huge multitude of stock footage, news reports, newspaper clippings, characters' backstories and flashbacks. At times it's truly dizzying and mesmerising the amount of quick jumps and transitions that we get towards each scene, but it remains seamless overall and is never disorientating for the viewer. It adds so much to the frenetic pace of the film, shifting from colour and then black and white and then back and forth again. We get multiple cuts of characters' dialogue fusing in with the news footage and black and white transitions. It's a true masterclass of editing and it never feels confusing. You're still comfortable overall in unravelling the case and the mystery throughout the story. Now the second reason is that the film does very well in establishing the importance of finding the truth, why it matters and the implications of the public being denied the right to know what happened. We have many scenes which help us understand Garrison's unrelenting resolve in finding out the truth despite the many barriers that he comes across. This is typified very much in the climactic speech given near the end of the movie when he's given his final testimony, when Garrison talks very much about the importance of truth and how it is very much the fabric of society, and how the uncovering of the truth will have an impact on the current generation and a generation after that and a generation after that as well. And it really lends the film so much of a credibility and really feels the sense that you're watching something truly important on screen. The themes of telling the truth run throughout the movie and it poses so many compelling questions throughout the investigation. and how indeed the assassination took place. I love the almost exhaustive detail and depth that the film goes into reconstructing the assassination, covering so many different viewpoints and perspectives. I love all the scenes where Garrison explains the triangular shot attack. We get that scene near the beginning of the movie where they're reenacting the shot pattern that would have had to take place to assassinate Kennedy as he was driving through the streets. I love the engrossing moment where we talk about the magic bullet theory, where we go to really explicit and methodical detail as to how the bullet, there's no way that one bullet could have gone through the various people in order to get to John Kennedy, and it's all riveting stuff. As I mentioned before, we then have to talk about the cast of actors, and it truly is a stellar ensemble that Oliver Stone has managed to get for his movie. We really do collate some of cinema's greatest actors, and all of them deliver their end game in so many standout scenes. In the lead role, of course, we have Kevin Costner, who is completely convincing as Garrison. He conveys Garrison as very much an author of integrity and dedication to pursue what's right for the country and the people. It's that typical crusader of justice persona that I think Costner is so suited for throughout this film. And of course, JFK was in the middle of Costner's great run of movies, going back from The Untouchables in 1987, followed later on by Bill Durham, Field of Dreams, Dances of Wolves of course in 1990, where he gained multiple Oscars for both an actor and a director, confirming him as the biggest superstar within Hollywood at the time. Tommy Lee Jones is great as Clay Shaw or Clay Bertrand, the prime suspect of the investigation. He's very politely spoken, articulate, and he's very fidgety. I love all the great scenes when Garrison encounters him for the first time, and you get that sense that he's hiding something, but you don't know quite what it is. And I think it's a brilliant portrayal by Tommy Lee Jones. Himself later on would go on to be a major Academy Award winner as well. I love Kevin Bacon's scene as Willie O'Keefe in this film. Here, when we encounter him, we learn that he's very much of a male prostitute, and he has various connections through meetings with Clay Shaw, and Garrison investigates him because he heard various conversations about them talking about the assassination attempt of Kennedy, and it's a very fiery and intense performance from Kevin Bacon. I love the lines when he talks about when Kennedy was assassinated and that it was a great day for America overall. I love the accent that he infuses, and it's a marvellous performance from Kevin Bacon, and it's still today, I still feel that Kevin Bacon really should have been a bigger actor than what his career overall turned out to be. Joe Pesci gives his usual hyper energy and intensity that we know so much from the classic gangster films, from the likes of Goodfellas and Casino, and here as David Ferrer, again another suspect linked to discussing the assassination of Kennedy. Joe Pesci is truly a compelling actor. I love the great scene where Garrison interrogates him and he visits his house and Ferry just goes off on one. He's all paranoid, thinking people are out to get him. And it's just a great reminder of how great an actor Joe Pesci is. Gary Oldman again shows his ability to fully transform continually into any character that he plays on screen, and here as Lee Harvey Oswald, who we all know was the prime suspect for completing the assassination, and here Oldman presents him as very much of a complex and erratic character. Oswald's story is very much told through flashbacks, so Oldman doesn't get a lot of dialogue as with other actors, but still he pulls off perfectly the Russian accent, and Oswald is here really painted as much more of a fascinating character, and I think it's a testament once again how great an actor Gary Oldman is in terms of really morphing himself into certain personalities. It's a brilliant performance. Now for me, the true standout performance from this film is of Donald Sutherland as Mr. X. Coming in at halfway through the movie, he meets up with Garrison, stating himself as a high-level figure, an operative within the government. He was being in charge of the Black Ops, carrying out various military operations that were off the books. He gives explicit details of conspiracies involving the military, the mafia, flaws within the reconnaissance of the president's appearance, and it essentially alludes to the ultimate reason that President Kennedy was assassinated was because he wanted to bring an end to the Vietnam War and concentrate much more on building connections with the Soviet Union, and that various factions within the American government didn't want that. It's a truly magnificent scene, running close for about 15 minutes, and in many ways encompassing why the film overall is so brilliant overall. Again, with the editing, the music and the pacing, it really heightens so much of the mystery and the momentum throughout the movie. And I think today, a scene like this in so many of today's movies would have been trimmed down because it would have seen as overlong, but I think it's truly compelling, and it's a testament to how great Donald Sutherland is as an actor. We yet again have to remark on John Williams, who for me and for many movie fans is the greatest movie composer of all time, and again here his music is another major contributing factor in just creating the mood and the atmosphere amongst the various flashback scenes that we see throughout the movie. So once again, a high standard of musical score applied by John Williams. So as with films within this review series, we already know the score, 10 out of 10 of course, so we'll go on to talk about the release and reception overall in JFK. Now, on a budget of $40 million, after initial slow start on its release, JFK eventually went on to gross over $205.4 million worldwide at the box office. Becoming a huge financial success, JFK also gained a lot of praise from film critics for its pace and its compelling elements, along with its editing and cinematography. It was overall nominated for 8 Academy Awards, and it won 2 specifically for its editing and cinematography, and I think you can't undispute that even now, years after its release. Now, it did come under huge, fierce criticism, less for its filmmaking as a whole and more for the liberties taken with the truth. A lot of critics took issue with the way that the movie suggested a government that was untrustworthy and not giving a substantial argument that a coup d'etat could have indeed taken place in the assassination of the president. Now, despite these criticisms, which I think could be fair and overall, we get so many examples of this when the film takes on such explicit subject matters such as this. It's overall crossing that line as to what's factual and what's entertaining overall, and I think the best way to view JFK is not an overall factual account of what happened, but giving much more of a cinematic representation of what could have happened in terms of the various suggestions and conspiracies and paranoia that went on during this investigation. And on that basis, I think JFK is a resounding success. In terms of Oliver Stone and his filmography overall, I'd rank JFK alongside his best ever works, alongside the likes of Platoon and Born on the 4th of July. And that's why for me JFK remains a compelling masterpiece, proving that it's not necessarily the runtime of a movie that's important, but it's what you do during the runtime that makes a film so special. And once again, it's a great example that you don't need endless action or special effects to maintain the attention of an audience. All you need is great storytelling, great actors and performances, and along with a truly exceptional example of editing, JFK remains a movie that a lot of modern day films could learn from today, and for me that's why I think it's truly a compelling masterpiece and fully deserves its 10 out of 10 rating overall. So those are my thoughts and feelings on review on JFK, a true editing masterclass from Oliver Stone. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you have indeed seen the movie, were you indeed distracted or demotivated by the movie's huge runtime? There is in fact a director's cut that's even longer, which I have watched overall, and I still think it remains compelling, adds further scenes in terms of Garrison and his paranoia overall in terms of the investigation, but it doesn't take away any of the true magic of the film. But by all means, if you feel that JFK was in any ways overrated or could have been shortened, where there are certain scenes that could have been taken out, do you feel scenes were over edited? Do you think there was too much frenetic style editing, too many flashbacks and cut back and forth between the black and white and the colour schemes and transitions throughout the movie? Then let me know as well. Are there any other films directed by Oliver Stone that you'd like to see me review? Of course, I mentioned already Platoon, Born on the 4th of July. You of course have Wall Street, Heaven and Earth. You have the Wall Street sequel as well, The Doors. So there are many great films that Oliver Stone has directed. If you'd like to see me review other films within filmography, then let me know in the comments as well. Please also hit those subscription and like and notification buttons so I can continue to provide you with more high quality reviews like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, stay at safe distances, and I will see you very, very soon.